Hey there, Ride the Car Guy here, and today we install a snorkel on the 8-ball. Now you may notice a slight color variance between the fender and the rest of the vehicle, and that's because Angel from OffroadGorilla reached out to me and said, hey, do you want early access to our new snorkel so you can make an install video? And the answer was, of course, a resounding yes. So I ripped the old one off, grabbed the fender off the spare Xterra, slapped it on here so I can make this video for you. I'm excited because I unboxed it and it already looks like a better unit than the Airflow, so let's get installing it. You want to start by unboxing and make sure you have everything that you need. Obviously, all of the parts are important, but having the instructions is critical because you need to make sure you know where to put the holes in the fender. Once you make sure you have everything that you need, grab your instructions, and then of course the main snorkel piece, the one that sits in the fender and goes up the A-pillar. You want to check the holes in the snorkel against where it says to drill in the template. Printers aren't perfect. Sometimes they scale weird, they get a little strange, so you just want to verify it before you go putting holes in your fender. For me, it looks good. Looks about where we need to be. So we're going to take this template and get it on the fender, do some modifications to it, and punch out our holes. With your template, you want to start by cutting where it tells you to cut. It shows a little line here that matches your fender line, and then there's a cut here to handle this curvature in the fender. Now it's important to be pretty precise about this because the idea here is that you line this up on the outer edge of your fender, and that way it places these holes in the correct position. All right, this is looking pretty good. It's looking like the shape of our fender. So you want to grab some tape. I have electrical, but you can use like painter's tape or whatever you want. Just have it be something that has a clean release from paint. And then we want to start lining this up against the top and the side of the fender. I'm just going to grab some slices and then just kind of set them on my A-pillar. Make it easy for me. I hate pulling it off as I go. All right, good enough for now. So you want to take this, line it up top, and then get it on the edge there. There we go. You can tape it across. It should be all right. And do the same up here. All right, so at this point, the top and the right side are what's locating our holes, right? These sides don't do anything, right? They don't matter. So you want to make sure that those are both in a good place. If they are, then you kind of want to run your hand down so it's in the right location. If this paper kind of bubbles up a little bit, you could be mislocating it, right? Hold it from the top, roll down, and then on each one of these, I'm going to do a punch. I'm going to punch through this exactly at the dot in the center, and then that way when I pull this away, I know where I need to drill. When you're working on the curve, make sure that when you slide your fingers down and put a finger right there in that crevice. Make sure you're not basically creating any slack in the paper. All right, with all those off, I want you to gently remove this because you may need it in the future. If you pull this off and you see that you don't have all the right holes, which, I mean, mine look fine, but you want to make sure that you have everything that you need before you go destroying this template. All right, if you look closely, you can see where I made all the little divots with that punch. And this one is our main hole, and the rest are just regular, regular drill bits. This is going to require our hole saw. So let's get these drilled out. So before I start drilling holes, I grab my stud, and this is going to go into the snorkel and obviously go through this, and then we tighten it all down. And they came with really generous washers. So I'm going to go with a little bit of slop. And I do that because when you go to do the install, you're going to find that it's going to be hard to get every single thing to line up exactly perfectly. And in the snorkel, you're going to have some that are like, like tilted a little bit. So I'm grabbing this one here. You'll see it has quite a bit of slop in it. And that's 11/32. That's the size I'm going with. And unless you installed something behind here, there isn't really anything to hurt. So when you drill in, I mean, obviously don't go crazy, but when you drill in, once you pop through, you're not really going to damage anything. Oh yeah, you should also wear safety goggles when you're drilling metal. All right, we have all of our holes except for the big one here. And I'm just gonna grab a little file here and try to clean this up a little bit, especially that's gnarly. All right, now for your hole saw. This is another example where I kind of went overkill. I went with a 3.5. The reason I did that again is just fitment. It makes fitting the actual snorkel a lot easier. So here's our snorkel, there's my hole saw. So it's a bit much, and it's actually so much that it nearly hits this hole. So what I might do, hold on, let me look real fast. I might move this punch like maybe 2 millimeters over. It'll definitely still be enough to get this in, as you can see, and we won't get too close to that hole. But the inlet on this is a 3-inch. I have a whole extra 1/2 inch. If you want to go with the 3-inch hole, it might be a bit of a tight squeeze, but you can file it out, I guess, if you needed to. Actually, you know what? I lined it up, and there's enough meat on that. That'll be okay. So let's just go ahead and get this one done. I feel like I should have been wearing a face mask. There's a funky smell in here now. All right, with that drilled, just gonna slide this in real quick, see how it looks. All right, it's actually looking pretty great. So now what we need to do is, I'm gonna deburr this, but once I deburr it, I'm going to pull the fender off. And then once we pull the fender off, we can actually get the snorkel installed on the fender and do the rest of our plumbing. All right, removing the fender. you're gonna have two 10 millimeters here that you need to take out. Two that need to be loosened. Three up top in the engine bay, two 12s up top, and then I believe two 10s right here. That's not counting the wheel well. For the wheel well, we have to take off the two connections. We can probably just get away with taking off the top two. We can try that. I've never done that before. And then the three down here, because then basically anything that touches the fender, right? But we may not have to pop it out of the wheel well. Let's try that. We'll do the two inside first, and this is where your 10 millimeter ratcheting wrench really comes in handy. There's one here and one down below. Don't fully remove those because it kind of helps guide the fender on when you're putting it back on. Next, let's remove the fender liner. I said we didn't have to remove it, but I just thought about it. To get to these, it'd be a lot easier. So let's just remove it all. You're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 screws. And then if you have any body panel clips left, mine are all gone. But there should be I think there's 2 or 3 body panel clips up in the top to get out as well. So take all those out and we can pull it out. Now, I have a stubby screwdriver. I'm gonna pull out everything I can with this. Anything that I can't, I have a different solution for that I'll show you. Well, as they say, laziness is the mother of invention, and I don't want to take this tire off to take these out, or really just go in and turn the wheel. You can just turn the wheel to get access to them. Instead, I just got a little bit, a screwdriver bit, and a 1/4 inch ratcheting wrench. We're gonna slide it through, and that's our really shallow Phillips head screwdriver to get the other ones out. All right, with all those out, pull out the back. It's kind of folded into the fender. Just pull all those out. Let it drop and roll there. And it's out. Next up, we're gonna pop off the two 10s at the bottom. Well, I have one, but you'll probably have two. And then the two in the front behind the headlight. Oh, there is also a 10 millimeter going up into the fender from the bumper. Forgot about that one. Now we just have the ones up top and the fender should come off. Now the top gets a little squirrely because your prop rod is in your fender and you need to have your hood open to take these out. So what we're gonna do is loosen the two 12s and we're gonna loosen the two in the back, and then this one's kind of locating this, and this will be the only one holding everything in. Then I'll just sort of hold it up, pull that out, and we should be fine. The other option, of course, is to take all these out first, drop the hood, and then take everything else out. It's up to you. All right, for this last one, just gonna lift the hood, put the prop rod away, then pull it out. I lodged a piece of wood on the hood latch, so I'm just gonna gently set the hood down, and now we have a nice big gap here. Now be careful here, especially if you care about your paint. You don't wanna scratch everything up, so the fender can easily get scratched, or you can scratch your door, lots of stuff. So make sure everything's disconnected. Yep, feels good. And remember, we only loosen those, so we kind of slide it off of that. There we go, perfect. One quick note as well, if this is the first time you've taken off your fender, you're gonna have a weather seal that runs right here that was adhered to it. I never replaced mine, never cared to, but so obviously it was really easy to take mine off, but this one you're gonna have to kind of pull, get a little force here, pull this out, and once it releases, then you'll be able to pull it out. All right, so I grabbed the fender. On the back side, I just put a piece of paper up here, sprayed a little bit of protective paint on there because that's just gonna be raw steel at this point. We'll let that dry, and let's grab the Snorkel and start putting our little studs in. So on here, I'm just gonna put in a couple threads. You're gonna see that one side has a little hex head in it, so this needs to be the outside, right? So put it in there. All right, with all of our studs in, we're gonna flip it around here and feed it through. Of course, I lost one of the studs here, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Might need to have this up vertically to do this. So I'm trying to feed this through here. It's not being very nice to me. I'm just kind of like rotating and, oh, hold on. I think that was it. I have to remove some of these and see what's going on here. All right, so I got a couple to thread through. So let me get a nut on here and we can kind of flip it around and see what we're dealing with here. All right, so I got a couple to fit on, and I'm gonna start kind of cinching those down a little bit, see if I can pull in the other ones here. All right, I have 4 of the 6 in, but these seem to be ever so slightly misaligned. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna widen the holes a little bit to get the studs in, and then we should be able to continue on. At this point, you already drilled a bunch of holes in your fenders, so it doesn't really make a difference if they're any bigger, right? So that's what I'm gonna do. Plus the kit supplied really generous washers, so we should have no issues at all. Okay, so I just went through the trouble of widening those holes, and it looks like if I had shifted the Snorkel a little bit further up, they all would have fit. So awesome. That's okay. Hey, that's why I do this stuff, guys. I do this so you don't have to. So on the bright side, the template's fine, and I just messed it up. So I'm gonna put these all back in. The beauty of these washers is that they're really big. Unfortunately, Getting the washer on this one is a bit difficult, so I just ground down one side of it and then it slides right on. All right, we have all of them in, looking pretty good. So what I'm gonna do now that everything's located, I'm gonna pull out one at a time, and I'm just gonna put some thread locker on. So basically slide this out, thread locker in, put it back in, and then tighten it down and repeat that process to get everything in there. All right, repeat that process 5 more times, and let's move on. Next up, you wanna grab your 13s. You wanna start cinching down, but don't go crazy on one. Kind of go in a pattern, maybe start up here and kind of circle around, because it's gonna draw it tighter to the fender, and then it'll loosen other ones. So go around, keep doing that until they get nice and tight. Don't go crazy as well, because this is plastic, right? Strong plastic, but these are still just nuts sort of molded into the plastic. So don't want to yank those out. And lastly, try to get your snorkel suspended so it's not resting on anything, so you're not tightening it in a weird way, and then as soon as you let up, you know, something loosens. So let's get that done. All right, everything's tightened down. Let's flip it up, take a look. All right. That looks great. Has a really nice tight fit against the body, which is perfect. It's exactly what we want. All right, we can plumb this side in advance. So basically we're gonna have an elbow here. It's gonna run a tube up, another elbow going into the air box. You're given 2 elbows. One looks about equal distance on both sides and equal interior diameters. This one is shallower, you can see, and has a wider interior diameter. So that's the one we're gonna use. It slides right over top of this, and we're gonna tuck it as close to the fender as we can, cinch it down, and then get our tube on here and put our other elbow in. And then basically all we need to do is go do the airbox side, get that hose ready, and then connect them when we do the install. So let's prep a ring on here, grab it on, get it most of the way down, and then we just slide it on here. Again, tuck it as far up as you can, and then cinch it down. Next, grab one of the provided flex hoses. These appear to be the same, there's 2 of them. So we're gonna slide one on here, make sure you get your ring on there actually. Slide that on, cinch it down. Next, extend it out, put a ring on it, grab this one. Again, this is equal distance, so any side will do, and put it in here. Now what we're gonna do here is leave this alone. We're gonna have to adjust this angle when we install. So let's go deal with the airbox, get that plumbed up, and then we'll reinstall it. For the airbox modification, I'm gonna make it real easy. Before I cut back this, and it didn't give me enough space, so I'm gonna cut back here. I know there's a plate here with foam on it to keep dust out of the engine bay, but I mean, you know, that comes in no matter what. So I'm gonna cut this back using one of those oscillating tools, but you'll notice there's a couple harnesses down here. So you wanna be really careful. I might even grab like a piece of wood or something, try to get it down there so I don't cut through, but pretty easy to control this tool. I'm just gonna throw on some ear protection, eye protection, and cut that off. Luckily, this stuff is pretty brittle. I cut through like about half of it, and the rest is sort of shattered off. So it's pretty rough anyway. So I'm gonna toss that. Then grab your other hose, get a ring on it. Pull out my little cardboard here. I'm gonna extend this first, slide it through, and get it on there. Excellent. I'm just gonna go all the way because there's plenty of space. Awesome. Should give a nice clean look to it. Very good. Then cinch it down. Now we have our hose going through our fender, directly into our airbox. It's gonna make a 90-degree turn, just like that, then hook up to the snorkel. Next up, we need to do a bit of a test fit, and then we need to mark our holes on the A-pillar for the upper support. So I'm gonna take this out, put it underneath here, gives us enough space to play. Put one of our final rings on there, get it so it won't fall off. And next, we're grabbing our fender. I'm gonna get it on the bolts in the back, the ones that we didn't take out, right? Slide those on. There we go. Slide that in place. Take a look at how got much less space here. Oh, we already have the 92, my mistake. There we go. Kind of just get that in there. Perfect. Slide it on. There we go. A very rough fit, but it's a fit. Already loving this. But what I'm gonna do is just grab a couple bolts, like the big one up front, just sort of slide those in, because all we want is for our fender to be in the location that it's gonna be in, or at least close to it. And then I'll put one in the back as well, right there. Perfect. And then make sure that looks about where it's gonna be. Yep, just like that. Awesome. So the reason we're doing this is that we're gonna come in here and we're gonna put the bracket on, and we're gonna mark where our holes need to go in the A-pillar to screw it in for for that upper support. All right, so right now this thing would flop around in the wind, right? Especially when you have that scoop on it, pulling that air in. So we have a little upper bracket, and we put that bracket in one of these two holes. So we'll install it maybe up here, and we're just gonna kind of loosely fit it in there. I'm gonna get it, you know, tight, but not tightened down, if you will. Now, I'm not really sure the best way to mark these. It's concave, if you will, on the inside of it to kind of fit the A-pillar. And I have this little tool here, which is just like a, I don't know, like a little pick. And I guess I'm just gonna try to locate those holes, basically make a little circle and kind of scratch the paint. See if that works. All right, so if we remove it, see what we got here. Hey, look at that. That is about perfect. There's two little scratch marks where the holes are supposed to go. So I'm gonna do the same thing as I did before, only this time we have some inserts we need to put in. Wow, that's way softer. Be careful with that. Whoa, feels like an aluminum can. For this install, we have little nylon inserts with little metal screws we're gonna put in it. I just got a drill bit that looks appropriate. Looks like 5/16 will do the trick. So let's very carefully drill these in. So I'm just gonna hit that with a little bit of paint, and then we'll put our nylon inserts in. Good enough. Just line it up. There we go, tap it in, nice. Now let's get our bracket and install the two screws. There you have it. Let's do our final install. All right, we are in that home stretch, feeling good. We're just gonna grab this fender with the snorkel attached, and we wanna grab our elbow. Luckily, the flex is all here. This is already tightened, right? Is it? No, it's not. So we tighten that, and then we put it on here, tighten it, and then put the fender on. Very good. I'm gonna try to slide it on these. Probably not gonna work. Maybe the bottom one. Yeah, it'll sit on the bottom one. I basically just need 3 hands to do this job. So we just grab this, slide it into our elbow, as far on as it'll go, and cinch it down. So make sure everything's tight again. Yep, everything looks good. Push that in. And now, very gently, without scratching the door more than I already have, I'm gonna get the fender on. You have to contend with the front and the rear sort of simultaneously. You have this metal piece and your radiator support. You want the fender under the radiator support. You'll see that. There we go. And then let's check if these are slid on. They both are. Fantastic. Just want to get that more in place. There we go. Perfect. Now again, we're just going to locate with a couple bolts so stuff stops moving. Very good. Then I'll get one going down here to locate the bottom. Before you start to cinch everything down, make sure, like for instance, that your door opens and that there isn't a giant gap here like there is here. Then you can adjust it all, kind of pull it towards, and then tighten everything down once everything's in place. Once you're feeling good, just put the bolts back in and tighten them down. All right, a few small details and we are ready to rock. So of course we want to put our support back in. So we want to grab our bolt down on it, basically line it up. There we have it. Very solid, love it. Then of course we have this, the very top, the cherry on top, if you will. Included is a black hose clamp, nice touch by the way. So we want to slide that over, slide it down, make sure it's actually forward, there we go. And then of course we can just cinch it down. Very nice. There are a couple extra screws provided in the kit, and what you can do is drive one through the ring and then into the actual main tube. That's really just to keep it from sliding up. Now, I do love the addition of these little humps here to keep the ring from sliding off, but technically if you were to pull, you know, as hard as you could up, then it would actually come off, right? So this would stop that. So I'll go ahead and drive it through there just to show you. I'm just gonna basically find a slot in the ring to kind of drill through and then screw it in. That ain't going nowhere. So that's it. I absolutely love the way this thing looks. And honestly, I'm kind of digging the silver fender too. I might actually keep that. The other one was damaged from an accident anyways. I've been out here for exactly 3 hours and I'm recording, so I'd say this is easily maybe a 2-hour job. And overall, a pretty simple install, especially with how easy the fenders are to take off on the Xteris. As soon as I unboxed this unit, I could tell it was far better than the airflow unit I had before. The manufacturing was a lot better, like the seams, there's much smoother seams. It seems like better material, thicker material on the actual snorkel, and especially those flex hoses down below. It all seems to be a lot better. I even like the shape of the head better. It's not so bubbly. It's a nice squared off look. I'm super pumped to have this unit. If you want one for yourself, scroll down to the description where there's going to be a link where you can buy it. If you like this video and you want more of it, please scroll down, click that subscribe button. If I helped you save a lot of time or money on this install, go ahead and scroll down and click that thanks button to say thanks. Any questions or comments down in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next one.